For more, we turn to this evening's political panel. Matt Bennett is with us, Executive Vice President for Public Affairs at Third Way and Democratic strategist, alongside Republican strategist Ashley Davis, partner at S3 Group. Welcome to you both. Ashley, obviously we began the day today with President Trump not making phone calls, not working behind the scenes, but making tracks to Capitol Hill and gaggling with reporters 4 separate times to crack the whip in person. What does that say about where we are and the likely this goes smoothly from here?
Well, he's been doing this kind of a lot over the last 3 to 4 months. Not a lot, but 3 or 4 times, which is a lot for a president, as you'll remember, to go to the Hill. And him gaggling with reporters, are we used to that yet? Maybe we're getting...
Oh, we're used to it, for sure.
But, you know, a lot of this is pressure. I mean, everyone's negotiating in public right now, and I think the next 8 hours from now until the Rules Committee at 1 a.m., whatever the math is, that's like the really crucial time. It was interesting. You said in the lead up that, you know, or that the speaker said he was still willing to vote on Thursday. I mean, what I've been hearing a lot today is that he wants to go tomorrow. They passed the rule last night that they waived the 24-hour rule that you don't have to have it posted, which I think is a pretty big move, which means that he's getting momentum. He needs to vote and send everyone home.
Is that what you see happening here? I know Democrats aren't involved, but you're no stranger to momentum on Capitol Hill and what that means for passing something this large.
Look, Trump is unequaled in his ability to control his own party. We haven't had a party leader like that in the United States probably since FDR. He gets the votes, so he probably will this time, too. But I have to say, this reminds me of something. In 1993, when the Democrats passed the budget, there were some things in there that weren't going to be particularly popular, and the Republicans were waving at a vulnerable Democrat, Marjorie Mosvinsky, saying bye-bye Marjorie when she voted for the bill. That could be happening this time, too, because when you vote to slash Medicaid and support for needy families and throwing people off their health care so that you can give tax cuts to super rich people, that's going to play pretty badly in a lot of these swing districts.
Well, so do Democrats actually need this legislation to pass, even though they aren't going to provide the votes for it, because they need those cuts to become reality?
No, Trump's doing plenty for us to, I think, win the House. I mean, look, the tariffs alone probably would be enough, and he's, you know, vandalizing the government in bizarre ways. There's a lot that Democrats can run on, but the thing that is most potent is what these guys are voting on. Trump is one thing, but what the House Republicans are actually doing is the most important thing in these elections.
And Republicans are the ones in the House are the ones that are taking the actual hard votes, because it's going to change so much in the Senate just from procedural reasons alone that when it comes back to the House to pass the final bill, it's not going to look the same, but they've already taken this first really hard vote.
We're going to be talking in a moment with Frank Pallone, the ranking member on the committee that was responsible for hashing out the changes to Medicaid. Some call them cuts, others call them making the program more efficient. How do you message against what Matt just mentioned?
It's a really hard message. I mean, you have a much better hand than I do to play on this, even though, so when I worked for Governor Ridge as governor, we did something called Welfare to Work, which is really what this is. It's kind of making sure that the people that are collecting Medicaid checks actually are eligible for Medicaid. But at the end of the day, from a pure political perspective, it's really, like, who's listening to my explanation right now? Really, they're listening to sound bites of "you're cutting my Medicaid." So that's what people believe in.
But the Senate's not going to let it happen, right? To the point we were just discussing with Steve Dennis. When you have Josh Hawley singing a similar tune as Democrats, does that suggest that the worst of the impulses, perhaps, are going to be kept in check by members of the president's own party?
I'd say it's a very uncomfortable place for me to be agreeing with Josh Hawley, but here we are. Maybe. I mean, remember, they have a lot more wiggle room in the Senate than, well, not a lot. They have more wiggle room in the Senate than they do in the House. I think Hawley's likely to come around. The question is the extent of Medicaid cuts, not if there will be any in there. There's going to be some, which means people lose their Medicaid. 63% of Americans in nursing homes are on Medicaid. I mean, this is a lot more than work requirements. It is going to affect millions of people in their ability to get health care.
You think this gets a vote as early as tomorrow, which means the Rules Committee tonight is not a thing? It sails through?
I think, yeah. I mean, if you look at how they waived the same-day rule yesterday, and obviously they had a member take a walk, Chip Roy, so he didn't vote on it. So they have the ability to do it tomorrow. But, I mean, it has to kind of be buttoned up, at least in theory, tonight at 1 o'clock. Like, the big things have to be agreed on before it passes through Rules Committee. I think it gets through Rules Committee, and then can they write the bill between now and sometime tomorrow? I mean, listen, if I was a speaker, I'm like, get this thing done. Otherwise, it's going to fall apart again. They can't leave it till after Memorial Day. I mean, this is why they do these votes on days like this. And then supposedly there's members on both sides of the aisle that start leaving on Thursday night. And so do you start losing votes?
There's going to be some bleary eyes around here tomorrow. This interview with
Are you
Speaker
staying
Johnson
up
on
till 1
Bloomberg.
to watch the vote?
Can't wait. Absolutely. Pop your corn. Get your C-SPAN ready. Matt Bennett, Ashley Davis, thank you so much.